August 22nd, 1988, Saitama, Japan. Now a little girl was playing outside her house one afternoon when suddenly a hand grabs hold of her and a voice says, "Wouldn't you like to go somewhere where it's cool?" Now the little girl listens and gets into the stranger's car, not knowing that it will be her last day alive. The story that I'm going to tell you is about a man so horrific, his father takes his own life when he hears of his son's crimes. Now this is the story of the Otaku killer. Tsutomu Miyazaki was born on August 21st, 1962, as the oldest son of a strict and wealthy family. Now he was born premature and had a birth defect, resulting in his hand joints being stuck together, preventing him from bending his wrists upwards. Due to his deformity, he was often the target of bullying and ridicule in school and in his family. Now his father barely talked to him, as well as his two younger sisters who were disgusted by him. Sadly, he couldn't even make any friends, let alone talk to someone without them taking notice of his deformity. Now to make matters worse, he found out that his own mother wasn't even his biological mother. He was the result of his father and his older sister having an affair, which explains why he has this deformity. Throughout the years, he developed a liking for manga, anime, and various horror and adult films. However, he would soon become desensitized to the most extreme pieces of media. Now, in order for him to satisfy his strange tastes and obsessions, later in college, Tsutomu would proceed to take pictures of female tennis players' private areas. And sure enough, his strange tastes would consume him entirely, resulting in him developing disgusting habits. One day, he watched one of his sisters bathe, and when she got mad at him, he proceeded to physically beat her. He later went on to physically abuse his mother when she told him to spend less time on his pieces of media. When Tsutomu turned 22 years old, he was fascinated by and loved watching films showing torture. With these two distasteful interests in mind, at the age of 26, Tsutomu would go on to commit the most horrific crime spree seen in Japan's modern history, with his first victim being a 4-year-old girl named Mari Kono. She was walking outside her house on a hot afternoon when Tsutomu grabbed her, asking, "Wouldn't you like to go somewhere where it's cooler?" The young girl agrees, entering his car. He then drives to a hiking trail and parks the car under a bridge. He then proceeded to grab the girl's neck, choking the life out of her until she can't breathe. He then proceeded to do the most disgusting things with the girl's body, such as 6 weeks pass by, and Tsutomu begins brutally murdering more kids, with the first being Masami Yoshizawa, 7 years old, following Erika Namba, 4 years old, Ayako Namoto, 5 years old. Repeating this process, kidnapping them, strangling them, and their corpses, and taking pictures of them. Sadly, this isn't the end of his heinous list of crimes. He decides to take his crimes to a whole nother level. He returns to the children's corpses, chopping parts of their limbs, later burning them or eating them. When families and police began searching for their kids, Tsutomu had the audacity to inflict mental pain and anguish on the families as well. He went on to make several ominous phone calls where he would loudly breathe on one end, while the victims' families were crying and panicking. Now, if that wasn't already bad enough, he even sent them boxes containing their child's remains, such as their bones, ashes, and teeth. Not only that, but he even put pictures of their daughter's clothing, along with postcards that have the words Mari, bones, cremated, investigate, prove, Erika, cold, cough, throat, rest, death. He would repeatedly commit these horrible crimes with each victim, and after each time he would get more and more confident, until one day he would get too cocky for his own good. Now he wanted to change up a bit and targeted 2 girls that were sisters. Thankfully, in the process of the crime, one of them managed to escape, and soon authorities were finally able to arrest him. They proceed to search his house, finding around 6,000 tapes in his collection of videos, including video footage of his crimes and the young girl Mari's limbs. Now the Otaku killer's own father was so disgusted by what he heard that he refused to hire a lawyer out of respect for the victims' families. Now, during the aftermath, this monster blamed his crimes on his alter ego, which he called the Rat Man. Following this, he wrote a very angry letter to his father, blaming him for his actions. The trial went on for 7 long years, but thankfully, the Otaku killer was sentenced to death by hanging on June 17th, 2008. Now, this case makes me absolutely sick to my stomach, and should serve as a reminder for parents to monitor their own children while growing up. Restrict what a child consumes, since we don't want children being influenced by the wrong people. And this case shows us that the choices that one can make can completely change a person's life. So much so, in fact, that it changed a quiet kid into the monster that people regard as the Otaku killer.